right up here, there's just an S15, an R34, and an E46 M3 just hanging out. Like, but I think the goodies are all in there, so we should go see what that looks like. Yeah, the F50 I saw, I'm still letting that marinate.
We're here at Redline Restorations in Connecticut, and we're looking at some high-performance Japanese cars for a thing we're doing called Japan Month. We're going over the best Japanese cars and stories, and you can't tell the story of Japan without telling the story of its tuners. Okay, I'm just seeing things I didn't expect to see. That's insane. Of course, tuner cars being cars that have been modified by a dude or a shop to be better, be different, be cooler, or just to be their own thing. There's thousands of these things. So many of these tuner cars have been built by so many shops, and only a few have really reached that legendary status. That's why I'm here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, a very random place to have these cars, but there's sort of a singularity of these tuned cars here, some of the very best, all in one place that I want to look at. All right, there's a lot to go over here. There's a lot to go over. The car behind me, the GT300 Supra, is a car built by Top Secret. These guys are legendary. Well, specifically, this guy is legendary, Smokey Nagata. He built all these cars to go fast and break records. His story kind of starts with these Supras. This GT300 car does not have a 2JZ in it. It has a 4-cylinder from a Celica GT4 that has 700 horsepower. It's one of 3 cars that Smokey built to go fast in. He built a Supra with an RB26, which of course is an R34 Skyline engine. He built a Supra with a V12 from a Toyota Century, and then he built this car with the Celica GT4 engine. All of those cars have some level of infamy. Some of you might know about the 0 to 300 car. That's the RB26 car. He went almost 200 miles an hour on a public road in the UK in that. One of the most famous stories in tuning ever. He got arrested, got deported from the UK, the whole thing. He built this car around the same time as that car to go land speed racing with this in New Zealand and a bunch of other places in the world. He wanted to build a lightweight, very powerful, very balanced Supra. All right, we're under the hood. It's an HKS built 3S GTE. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it makes about 700 horsepower off of something like 30 or 40 pounds of boost. It's a massively boosted engine, and it's really stressed. The cool thing about this engine and the cool thing about this car is why it's called GT300. It's because back when they were racing the Mark IV Supra in Super GT, back then it was called JGTC, those Supras did not use the 2JZ. They used this engine, the 3S, because it was lighter, more compact, and it gave a better weight distribution because the entire engine is behind the front axle. The radiator is laid flat for better aero, better cooling. The turbo is huge for a 4-cylinder. This is something they really like from that era, is the engine damper. You see that? That literally, when the engine is torquing, that just stops it instead of being a harder engine mount. It's like a weird compromise they came up with back then that sort of worked, but it was mostly like an aesthetic thing. You also have this massive like chassis brace that's basically, it's bolted in through the strut brace, but that's huge, and it's just adding rigidity to the front end. Look up here at the hood, all this custom carbon work, that's all hand done by Top Secret. And obviously it's the same as it was back in the 90s because this hood is in really rough shape and you're not gonna find another one. Think about it this way. Back then they were trailblazing these things. They were figuring this out step by step. They didn't have the tools we do now to be doing computer simulations and engineering. It's just so crazy and maximal, the amount of fabrication and just magic that went into these cars. Like this front bumper, there's probably only a couple like this in the world. There's ducting in here for better aerodynamics, and underneath, oh man, it goes deep. That's all to help pretty much the front end stay stable at high speed. The thing with this car is it's not necessarily all function. There's a lot of just aesthetics here. Something I love about these era of tuner cars is all the stickers all over it that just say stuff for fun. 3S GT88 340, nobody knows what this means. You have to be a nerd, but it's Greddy 3SG for the engine, T88 for the turbo, 34D for the size of the turbo. Road Championship Tuning by Thunder. Oh, it's cool though. That's kind of the theme of what we're gonna go over today. This era of tuning, it wasn't just about going fast, it was about being cool. Right over here behind you, this is an R33 GTR. So while that car is 1995, this is more like 2019, 2020 Top Secret. This is a much more recent build. The important thing to note here is that Smokey still built this car. It's still him in his shop in Japan putting these cars together. Enough so that on their Instagram, there's a post saying, please stop bothering Smokey and just go to the gift shop. Thank you very much. Look at this one, take a good look. It's very different to the GT300 Supra. There's no crazy custom wide body. The hood and the bumper are very basic. It's just an RB26 built powerful R33 GTR. The important thing is that car paved the way for Smokey to build these sort of customer cars, to build these more chill, just high performance vehicles because of the reputation that he built with these early cars. The other thing to notice is the cars are gold. Smokey decides whether the car will be gold or not based on whether he feels the build lives up to it. So obviously this one was enough of a process that it gets the top secret gold. This is a highly proprietary color. In fact, if I pop the hood on this car, the valve cover is painted gold, just like on all the other legendary top secret cars. Also, note the top secret arrow catches, so swag. Okay, so you know about Smokey. You've seen an old car and a new car of his. Let's go look at a couple more different cars from that era and establish a bit more about what I mean by swag and style. It wasn't just top secret. There's a lot of shops doing this kind of thing back then. What you're gonna see here is so crazy, we're gonna ignore that, which is my favorite car in this collection. We're gonna get to that at the end. That's very special to me, but I have to, it's all the self-restraint in the world to not just go run over there and lick it right now. I'm serious. All right, follow me, come on. Let's start with this car. This is an R34 Nissan Skyline of the 1997 to 1998 vintage. It's been so modified that it doesn't really matter anymore. This car sort of existed after the GT300 Supra and before, way before that R33 we saw. This was straight 2004 spec. It was built originally as a drag car in Japan, then brought over to the States. It was a 1,000 horsepower drag car that ran 9-second quarter miles. Then it was converted into a 700 horsepower drift car, and it competed in Formula Drift with Hayashida at the wheel. This car is super famous because you might recognize it when I pop the hood. We're just gonna pop the hood on all these cars. Tokyo Drift. This thing was in Tokyo Drift. This whole angle in Tokyo Drift. That's why you know it. It's really sick. Also, chrome engine cover, come on. That's so sick, man. We don't have swag like this anymore. This thing was on Super Street. It was on Modified Mag. It was on every magazine with this insane looking iridescent paint. And you know, you come over here, look at this. You can see a little bit of lore here with this Round 7 Irwindale Formula Drift sticker. Anybody noticed this earlier? It says Circuit City on the sponsor card. It's so crazy, it's so OG. Yeah, this is all 2007 in here. The Brid Halo seats, the Sparco drift thing. This car is a legend in the United States, weirdly. It was kind of one of the first and few to do that, to actually build a car for the USA and do marketing in the USA for Japanese tuner cars, at least for Signal Auto. The sad part about this is around 2009 when the recession hit, Signal Auto had to close down because people ran out of money for parts and they ran out of money for good parts. And they went back to Japan and sort of, you haven't heard much about them since because of that. They took a huge risk and they lost out on it and they're gone now. So let's go right over here, this way. So you see this thing, that's cool, right? That's a Tezuka D1 spec R34. This thing's from 2012. It's a bit of a newer car. This car exists because of this car over here. This is just an R34 Skyline, extremely cool, don't get me wrong. But let's go into their shop a little bit. This is a busy working shop, so like bear with me. Also just casual Bayside blue. Look at that. This car is the blueprint for that R34. This is the R32-4, because if you look back here, all R32, right? Now you gotta come to the front. R34 front end on an R32. This thing is kind of OG. This was built around 2005, 6, 7, and it competed in D1 GP. It went drifting. And this car, it didn't invent the front end swap, but it made it extremely cool to front end swap. People who are familiar with Japanese car culture will know that you'll see an E46 front end on an S15. It's very random. Look at the stickers. We love stickers. Nikko Circuit, that's a very famous drift track in Japan. SR20, this must have an SR20 in it actually, I didn't know that. MCR Factory, all that stuff. Cheers, Kampai. It's all very cute. This car, extremely cool, but let's go back inside and go this way. Let's go to something really random. This car is built by a place called Garage Makeup. You can see it right here with the Super Swag Sparkly sticker. This is the most deep cut JDM time attack car I've ever seen in my life. I only barely know about this thing because there's really no info on the internet. You'd have to go to Japan and be at an event to see one of these cars. This is a time attack spec RX-7 FD, about like 1995, 1996, wide body, and it has a 13B in it. This is really random to have. This is crazy. The thing is, the lore goes deeper than just top secret. If you go to like a Japanese time attack event, you'll see a lot of cars that are insanely well built, really clean, from places you've never heard of to this day. It's one of the more unique features of Japanese tuning is there's just, everyone's building things from scratch. It isn't just buying parts and slapping them on. All right, moving on. Let's go down this way. This is an ER34 that was converted into a GTR. This is a full four-wheel drive RB26 converted R34 sedan that Smokey built because he wanted a four-door GTR, but they didn't build it. So here we have this. This one's a bit older because I don't think it was a special of a shop car to Smokey, so it kind of sat around and it sort of sat in the sun outside. As you can see, it's all faded up, but you poke through the hood, it says RB26 right there. Super cool. This one I really didn't expect to see here. See this Falcon tire liveried car. This is an ex-Formula Drift car from about 2004, 2005. But this car is extremely cool, built by Falcon as a dedicated drift car. Back then, this car went up against some legendary cars like the Apexi RX-7, the Imamura car, and even that R34 over there. Those cars were on the track at the same time. Okay, over here, come on. Yes, there's two of these. I know I just ignored this back in the showroom, but this is actually the sister D1 car. This is not the 2004 winning car that's in there, but this is very similar. Still SR20 top secret Nissan S15. If you don't know what an S15 is, it's a Nissan Silvia from about 1998 to 2001. That's what this is. Little lightweight sports car, but we'll talk about more about this when we go back to that one. So continue following me, please. Then we have this insane looking Supra. This is another garage makeup car. Really another deep cut, all custom built. This is a much newer car. You can tell from the Volks Z40 wheels and the more recent body kit. Look at this, all carbon, carbon everywhere. Carbon bumper, carbon hood, carbon insane looking fender, carbon doors. This is a lightweight time attack spec car with, I think it has a JZ in it. It has 4 aero catches, which is really fascinating. It's because it probably so much hood lift at high speed. This car is extremely cool. Again, a deep cut. Like, who would know to buy this other than someone who's in deep? Continue. Yeah, I know, just like ignore the other random cool shit that's around. Like, we don't care about these cars. No, I'm kidding, we do care about these cars. This is a D1 drift car driven by Kazama. So Kazama is a guy who builds parts now. He makes stuff for all kinds of rear-wheel drive cars. He's still a drifter. So this one's a little bit rougher, but it's just as legendary. This car's been around the world. This thing won a couple rounds in Japan, but it also, critically, there's a couple stickers here that show you, it won 2 events at Irwindale. This car has been drifted in the States and by a legendary driver. It's in rough shape, unfortunately, but it's really cool that it's here. Yeah, this one's in a little bit of state of, it's not in pieces, but look. The thing with Kazama to note is that he makes a lot of the parts himself. So these carbon doors he probably made, fender, it's all the kit, he made that all himself. But there's one hero car that we need to go back inside and look at, really take a good look at. Let's go back to the front. Also, that's a Daytona SP3, Jesus Christ. Okay, walking back, I just realized there was one car I missed under a cover. So now we're just gonna open this one up. This one looks crazy. Let's take this one in for a second. Big wing, arrow in the back, big front bumper. What could this be? I think it's some kind of S15. Look both ways before you commit a crime. Oh. Oh shit. This is a Kawabata car, I think. Nobody's looking. Sakuma. Okay, not a Kawabata car. but this is a Toyo Tires S15 D1 car. It looks familiar because I think Kawabata is a legendary drifter in Japan. He's won, I think, 3 D1 championships. His car looks very similar to this, but it's not quite this. But this is an OG car. Let's see if I can find any markers. Big wing. Oh, the turn down. Oh yes, I love this. This is very good. This is a cool car. So there's one video that this car might look familiar. It's just look up reverse entry drift on YouTube. After you finish watching this video, of course, you'll see a car that looks very similar to this doing a reverse entry. Extremely cool video. This car, just another casual bit of D1 royalty. It's just, they're just littered everywhere. It's crazy. Okay, let's put the cover back on before we're caught. Sakuma. I actually haven't heard of that guy. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments now for not knowing who that is. How do you not know who Sakuma is? Okay, all right, let's run away now before we get caught. Also, let's take in for a minute, like the random just stuff that's laying around. I know, like, we're focused on Japan month, but Jesus Christ, like there's so much cool shit in here. Okay, let's go see the special one. That over there, ladies and gentlemen, is the Ryuji Miki 2004 championship winning top secret Nissan Silvia S15. This car makes me feel feelings. I have chills right now just being around it. You see the stickers here. D1 GP Series champion 2004. This car also drifted at Silverstone and was so popular that D1 actually started a whole national British championship because of the impact that this car and a few other cars made. I think in the modern context, it's not that crazy of a build. It really is just an SR20. For those of you who don't know, SR20 is the turbo engine that came in Silvias in Japan. Very popular swap into 240SXs here. Not even that crazy of an angle kit or anything, it's just clean. It's still in the top secret gold. You have these crazy graphics, reflective everything. It's just the things that this car has done, the places that this car has been, it's just amazing to me. And also, gamers out there will recognize this was in Forza Motorsport, I think 2, 3, 4. This car is extremely special. I want to look at the engine. SR20 Det. Gold valve cover, notch top, VVT. Look at that. I think back in the day, this car made probably about 450 to 500 horsepower. Nothing crazy today, but back then it was quite a lot in 2004. You have all these little details, this little brace here, custom made intake piping, custom exhaust manifold. Of course, stitch welded. If you look closely here, entire chassis is made more rigid by doing those stitch welds. Extreme attention to detail. And of course, top secret made the aero. This hood, front bumper, all that top secret stuff. Yeah, this car is special to me. If I could drive any of the cars here, it'd be this one. This one I want to take for a rip so bad.
ミキが後ろから行く形。さあ2本目入りました。斉藤大吾が前、後ろからトップシークレット S1 号三木隆二追いかけます。ああ斉藤振ってきた。ああ危ない危ない危ない。
And that was the tour of Redline restorations here in Connecticut. It was pretty insane, and we just found like random gems laying around that you can't find anywhere else. There's no collection like this for JDM lovers anywhere. And the best part is you can just come visit it. You can walk in, the showroom is public. You can see these cars, you can ask them questions and find out more, and you should do that. And if you can't show up, go to an event where they're driving it. They take these things to Grid Life, they take them everywhere and they show it off. As far as Japan month, go read our stories on Motor1.com. We're running one story a day for the whole month about Japanese cars and a couple more YouTube videos about more Japanese cars, not just tuners. This was insane, and this was a very special experience for me, and I'm happy to have seen it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.